You know, every single time you buy a coffee or a book or even just a pack of gum, you're actually entering into a contract. But have you ever really stopped to think about the complex legal stuff that's happening behind the scenes? Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the law of sale of goods and reveal the invisible rules that govern every single purchase you make. It's a system you use every day, so let's actually see how it works.
So to get us started, think about this for a second. What's the real legal difference between buying your morning coffee and, say, trading an old book with a friend for one of theirs? I mean, they seem pretty similar, right? An exchange. But in the eyes of the law, they are worlds apart. And figuring out why is the key to understanding this whole thing.
To solve that little puzzle, we have to start with the basics. What exactly is a sale? We're not just going to guess here. We're going straight to the source for the official legal definition that really sets the stage for everything else.
Okay, here it is, the official definition. A contract whereby the seller agrees to transfer the property and goods to the buyer for a consideration called the price, consisting wholly or partly of money. I know, that sounds pretty dense and full of legalese, but trust me, every single word in that sentence, transfer, goods, and price, is there for a very specific reason and unlocks how this whole system works.
And that's exactly what we're about to do. We're going to take that complicated-sounding definition and just break it into simple, easy-to-understand pieces. Because once you see the components, it all starts to make a whole lot of sense.
So that big legal definition really just boils down to three key ingredients. First, you need a transfer of property, which basically means ownership actually changes hands. Second, it has to involve goods, and we're about to see that has a very specific legal meaning. And third, it has to be for a price, which is the really crucial part that involves money. Let's tackle that second ingredient first. What in the world are goods?
All right, let's dive into that second ingredient, goods. In the legal world, goods isn't just a casual word for stuff. Nope, it's a very precise category with some really clear boundaries, and understanding them is so important.
So according to the law, goods are defined as movable property of every description. The key word there is movable. But what's really fascinating is how the law defines that. It actually includes things that aren't technically movable yet, like a whole field of growing cocoa plants or a forest full of timber, as long as the contract says they will be cut down before the sale happens. That little detail, it has huge implications.
And this table makes it super clear. A physical chair, it's movable, so yep, it's a good. But land or a building, he can't move those, so they're considered real property, not goods. Same goes for intangible things. Think about a copyright, a patent, or even a debt. You can't physically move them. The law has a fancy term for these, a chosen action, which really just means it's a right you have to enforce in court, not by picking something up.
And the law gets even more detailed. Like if you walk into a showroom and point saying, I want that specific red car, that's a specific good. But if you order one bag of flour from a huge warehouse, you don't know which bag you'll get. That's an unascertained good. And if you hire a carpenter to build you a custom table, well, that table doesn't even exist yet. That's a future good. And these little distinctions become super important if something goes wrong with the deal.
Okay, so now that we've got a handle on what goods are, we can really sharpen our definition of a sale by putting it side by side with other deals that look kind of similar. And this is where we finally answer our question about the coffee and the book trade. Right, so here's the first huge distinction. A sale must involve money. It can be all money or part money and part something else, but money has to be in there. A barter, on the other hand, is a pure swap, goods for other goods. So, buying a coffee involves money, that's a sale. Trading your book for your friend's book, no money, no sales, simple as that. That's a barter.
Next up, the difference between a sale and a gift. A sale needs what lawyers call consideration, which is just their formal way of saying something of value has to be exchanged. Usually that's the price. With a gift, though, there's no consideration. It's totally a one-way street. Because nothing is expected in return, it just can't be a legal sale.
And finally, let's talk about bailment. This one is absolutely crucial. A sale transfers the actual ownership, the title of the goods. It's yours now. But in a bailment, you're only handing over temporary possession for a specific reason. The best example is leaving your car with a mechanic. They have possession of it so they can fix it, but you are still the owner. They can't just turn around and sell your car. That's the difference, ownership versus possession.
Okay, so we've defined what a sale is, we know what goods are, and we can tell a sale apart from other kinds of deals. Now let's put all those pieces together and look at the actual blueprint for a sales contract. Believe it or not, from that one legal definition we looked at earlier, we can actually pull out 7 essential elements. Every single valid contract for the sale of goods has to have all 7 of these parts.
And here they are, the complete checklist. You can see how they build on everything we've talked about. You need the basic building blocks, a contract, a seller, and a buyer. Then you have the core actions, the transfer of property involving specific goods. And finally, you have the engine that drives the whole thing, the consideration and the price, which, remember, has to involve money. If you miss even one of these, you don't have a legally valid sale.
So we've gotten into all the technical details, but let's just zoom out for a second. Why do we even have this incredibly detailed legal code for something as simple as buying and selling things? What's the big picture here?
Well, the answer is pretty simple. It creates predictability and protection. This framework is like the invisible foundation holding up our entire consumer economy. It makes sure that when you buy something, you actually get to own it. It ensures sellers get paid. It sets out clear rules for what happens when things go wrong, so both sides know exactly what their rights and responsibilities are.
So the next time you buy anything at all, just remember this hidden legal architecture that's working in the background. From your morning coffee to your next big ticket purchase, this code is always there. And the final question I want to leave you with is this. Now that you know the rules, does it change how you see the game of commerce?